In this video, I'll show you a couple things you can do with metadata in VRED. First, I'll show you how to control the visibility of geometry using metadata sets, variants, and some simple scripting. But don't worry, I'll provide one of those scripts for you and you don't need to change it. And the other script is pretty easy to figure out. You'll just need to change the names based on your geometry. This is good to know for when you want to show multiple versions of a vehicle sharing components, but you don't want to duplicate those shared parts in separate groups of the hierarchy, or try to figure out which geometry switches should go with which vehicle group. Then I'll show you how you can use metadata sets to control a combination of which geometry is visible along with which switch material is active. This might be very useful for CMF presentations showing multiple trim levels, for example. In this file, I've got a vehicle, and I separated the roof from the body so that I can have a convertible version and a coupe version. And within this vehicle is what I'll call the stock set of wheels. And then I imported a couple of alternate wheels and also an alternate steering wheel. Here in my metadata editor, I have a few sets. This coupe includes the car body and the roof, and I have the roof separate. And that will allow me to create different combinations of which geometry is visible in my variants. So here in my variants, I have different versions of the convertible with the spiral wheels, with the stock wheels, and also the coupe with both sets of wheels. And now what I'm going to do is show you how I got to this point by adding a third set of wheels by importing those into my scene. So with nothing selected, I'll go ahead and import those. And here they are. They're not within a switch node in my hierarchy. So I'll go to my metadata editor, and I have a few sets here for the first set of wheels, the second set of wheels, and I'll create a brand new set, call it wheel 3. And then all I have to do is just drag and drop the geometry into it. I'm just going to delete the top group and just drag it into wheel 3. So now when I expand this, I have this geometry in this folder. So I have 3 versions of wheels that can be accessed with this vehicle. Next, I'm going to jump over to my variant sets. And for this to work, I need to create a new set, and I will call this the name of my script that I will share, and thanks to Dan Lincoln for providing this. I'll just call it Activate Meta Set. And you'll need to go to your script tab, and I have it open here. I'm just going to copy all this and just paste it right in here. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to be a scripting wizard. You can just use these resources that are available to you. Now I do need to do a little bit of scripting to tell some other sets which geometry to access. I can go ahead and click on some of these variants to see them working. This is the convertible with the spiral wheels with the stock wheels, and this is the coupe with both sets of wheels. So I want to add some wheels to each of these folders. So instead of starting over, I could just say new set within my variants, but I'll just copy it so I have something to start working with, or I'll just duplicate it and I'll rename this convertible with mono wheels. And then taking a look at this, I just want to make the correct things true and false. So for my convertible, I do see my coupe, I don't see my roof, so those are true and false. I don't want to see wheel 1, so I'm going to change that to false. and wheel 3 will be true. So let's check it, double click on it, and there's my mono wheels. Do the same thing with my coupe. I'm just going to duplicate this and just change around what's true and false and the name of it. So I'll also provide this. You may need 1 or 2 lines. You may not need as many as I do. If you're just changing the wheels, you'll just need as many lines as you have the alternate geometry. So checking, I have my convertible that has the 3 sets of wheels, and I also have the coupe that has 3 different sets of wheels. So that's a way you can control which geometry is visible without using switches or having to rearrange your scene graph. If I zoom in here and take a look at my interior, I have some different themes. Looking in my variant sets, I have this steering wheel version with some of the materials being in reds, same geometry, different colors. Now I have a different steering wheel and I have different colors, black and white, and I have the steering wheel B in teal. And the way I was able to arrive at these variants is through my metadata sets. Looking at these sets, they're specifically not for geometry, but just for switch materials. So I have 2 switches, and you can drag and drop them right on top of your metadata set, just like I did for geometry. So I have one that is assigned to the seats and this part of the door, and also a different material for the steering wheel. So I can control those separately. So looking at my materials and looking at the switches, this one switch leather steering wheel is assigned to these parts of the steering wheel, and the seat is assigned to these parts on the IP, door, and seat. Within the switch material, I have these 4 options. And I'll create another one to show you the process. All right, so I'm just going to create a quick plastic, and I'll give it a recognizable color. And I'll call it something like blue version. And I need to just drag and drop this blue version into my switch leather. So now it's got 5 possible materials that could be active. Now I'm just going to break my metadata off for a moment so I can drag and drop. And I'll show you the process of creating a brand new color theme. Again, I'll just create a new set and I'll call this color themes blue. It's empty right now. So I'm going to drag my 2 materials that are switches over. So that is my switch leather steering wheel, drag it right on top of there, and also my switch leather seat. So right now over on this side it's empty, and I need to give it some information to tell it which of those materials in the switch to be active. So I'm just going to create a new entry. I'll choose string, and below we have 2 bits of information we have to fill in. One is the key, and in this case it's going to be the name of the switch material, switch leather seat, and the value is going to be the name of the material within that folder that I want to be active. In this case, it will be blue version. And I also need to create one for my leather steering wheel. Again, hovering over the set name, I'll create another entry that is string, and I'll give it the name of that other material, which is switch leather steering wheel. And I'll say I want it to be white, which is one of the options in here. So now if I did this correctly and I don't have any typos, when I go to my variant sets, well, first I have to create it. And since I already have some created, I'll just duplicate one, save myself a little bit of work, rename it to blue plastic. And looking at what's in the script tab, I want to access these metadata sets. Sure, I'll go with steering wheel geometry B, but I want a different color theme. So I need to look at the name of my metadata sets, and I want to change this to color themes blue. Now, when I double click on this variant, it doesn't work. So I'm going to make sure there are no mistakes. And taking a little closer look, I see that I spelled version wrong. So that will mess you up. So I want to correct that. Add the S that I was missing. So it's nice when these mistakes happen, then you can learn from my errors what to look for. And now if I go to that variant set, click on this very strange color combination, it does work. I do have the white steering wheel, the correct geometry, and the new blue plastic switch material assigned to those parts. I'll quickly show you what variant sets I have set up in this scene. I have some for my exterior, and these don't use scripts, they're just using a switch dragged into the material tab, and I set the state of a specific paint color for various body colors. And then, like I showed you, I have the different geometry of both the convertible and the coupe with 3 different wheel options. And then for CMF interested people, I have these different interior color themes that are accessing both the steering wheel geometry, I have 2 options, and different color themes that are metadata sets that have switches dragged in that are assigned to specific parts of geometry. So I have a bunch of these, and you can see the steering wheel geometry changes. And then at any point, if I want to just switch to convertible or coupe or the various steering wheels, regardless of what color selection I'm on, I can do that quickly. So this is a nice way to be prepared for a presentation. And of course, with any of these, you can have in VR a menu that includes all these variants. And in general, you can set a hotkey from your keyboard if you're showing this presentation live on your monitor. If you want more information on some other things you can do with the metadata editor in VRED, I did an Autodesk University presentation last year, and I'll provide the link for you if you want to watch that recording. Thanks for listening, and feel free to add comments if there are some other workflows you'd like to see me demonstrate.